Hey guys, Big Red 310s here again. Preview Final Battle because there's been a lot of talk on this website, this community, about whether Ring of Honor this year was good or not. And what I've noticed has been missing is that no one has been talking about Final Battle. Everyone's talking about how Final Battle is important, but no one's actually giving a full preview of the show. Now, granted, Ring of Honor is a TV deal now. And supposedly they're getting like 1 million viewers, which I'm not sure if I believe. I've heard that number from several sites. Supposedly that's what Ring of Honor is reporting. I'm not too confident in that number. But a lot more people are watching the TV show is the consensus, I would say. So I guess some of us don't feel the need to do this, but I remember even Final Battle 2009, 2 years ago, how everyone on YouTube felt it was our responsibility to promote this show, to put over Ring of Honor, to get good numbers for Final Battle. And throughout all 2010, it was the same mentality from Big Bang, Death Before Dishonor, Glory by Honor, Final Battle, and then from 2011, the WrestleMania weekend shows, Best in the World, definitely Death Before Dishonor. Now it's Final Battle time, and like I haven't seen that many preview videos of the show, like saying, here's Go Fight Live, here's the link, here's the card, here's what's going on. So I'll be the first to talk about that. But before I do, I really do want to defend Sanders Robin because several people have made video responses to his argument. I don't think anyone has agreed with him so far. And I know I did, but let me clarify. Three main problems I have with Ring of Honor that are big problems. They're not small, minor things I can let go. They are big deals. On a surface, I only have 3 problems with Ring of Honor. Only 3, but those 3 problems are a big deal. The main event scene, World's Greatest Tag Team, and the lack of shows. Simple. The lack of shows part, for me, that's just, we've gotten, that to me, I think is why, part of the reason why the product has been very dry recently, because in 2010, they had the TV deal, but not many people were talking about it because they also had a background of shows to go with the TV deal, and most of the major storyline developments really happened at the house shows, I would say. Important stuff did happen on TV, but more or less, like when Jim Cornette made the announcement, Kevin Steen, El Generico, if you guys touch each other before Final Battle, you will both be... You guys cannot touch each other before Final Battle. That was made at a house show. Or the announcement that Kevin Steen... I think Kevin Steen laid down the challenge on the TV show, but the announcement of him wanting to make a challenge to Generico, if that makes any sense, before he actually made it, I believe was on a house show first. What I'm saying was, there was a background of shows. Now the TV is kind of the focal point, and really we haven't seen any house shows. And their house shows are more becoming what the WWE house shows are like, where the results of the matches really don't contribute to storylines much. I'm not saying Ring of Honor has gotten to that point, but it's getting there. The house shows for Ring of Honor are not meeting as much as they once did. And now with the TV show, we've had very little shows. We've had 3 shows, I believe. 3 or 5. I think 5, actually. 5 house shows, but none of them have been released on DVD because Ring of Honor is the worst company when it comes to releasing the DVDs. Almost as bad as probably worse than Dragon Gate. Because Ring of Honor, at least Dragon Gate, like Gabe can defend it all he wants, saying it's all technical issues and then they have to get the licensing. But he explains the process. For Ring of Honor, there's 2 reasons why their DVDs aren't released, in my opinion. One is that they're just bad at it. Or 2, they don't care. And none of them are good in my opinion because they're bad at it now with Sinclair, with the amount of more money that they have. It's not an excuse to wait fucking 2 months for a DVD. It's insane. They used to be like this. I remember from like 2010 through Manhattan Mayhem 4. You legitimately 2 months on the nose before the show came out. Whereas Joshi Mania, those shows came out the next day. And I think towards WrestleMania weekend, a little bit of the shows after that, it took like 3-4 weeks for the shows to come out, which is better. And now it's like the same thing again. 2 months. I mean, come on. The Collinsville show was on November 5th. It is December 21st, and we haven't even seen a pre-order announcement of that show. That's insane. Insane. With the amount of money they have, it's insane. More money they have. It's insane to have to wait this long for a DVD. This is just ridiculous. And another reason why they probably don't do it is because they don't care, because they probably don't make as Now that they have the TV deal and the DVD market no longer is I don't think it's no longer their primary revenue source. And because of that, they don't care as much probably to put it out because they won't make that much money off of it. And to me, that's even worse. You should care to get this shit out to your fans. You're releasing your house shows to your fans. Your fans, the paying customers, are waiting for this stuff, and you're not giving it to us. Especially when your TV deal is not accessible across the country. I think it should be of utmost importance to get these house shows out as quick as possible. But it's not for Ring of Honor, and that bothers me. Really. The excuse that it takes too long to produce a DVD, I'm sorry, I don't accept that anymore. A month and a half to produce a DVD, no, unreasonable. I could shoot a DVD and get that out faster. Seriously, come on. So yeah, that's a big problem with me for them. We've had just the TV show from like September to now, and when you don't like the main angles on the TV show, you're left thinking that the product sucks. And I guess that, I think, is why a lot of people are not happy with the product now. Now, True Sir said this, but I don't really agree with it. He was saying like, well, you know, Ring of Honor needs to kind of shoot the angles they've already done again for the new fans. And he was saying how the Briscoes All Night Express feud should probably happen again on TV. And so the new fans can see it. And even though we basically just have to wait while the new fans reorient themselves with the product. And that to me is not a good enough excuse. I get that they want to do that. That's fine. But that doesn't mean that the storylines they do have to be as stale as they are now. This Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards storyline, it doesn't matter if they need to do it again for the new fans. It's still not that appealing. You can redo an angle if you want, or just continue an angle very slightly, like not put much variation into it. You can do it and still make it appealing to the fans that are already watching. That's not an excuse, in my opinion, for the storylines currently to be where they are. Now, the second problem I have with the company is the main event angle. I've been saying this on YouTube. I've been saying this on Twitter. I've been saying this all around. The main event scene with Eddie Edwards, Roderick Strong, and Davey Richards is exactly the same as the main event scene of the WWE in 2009 with John Cena, John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H. There's no defending that. None. You cannot possibly provide me an argument. Let me tell you just how bad it's been. Eddie versus Roddy happened at Manhattan Mayhem. Then at the next show, the WrestleMania weekend shows, Roddy fought Davey. And Eddie fought Christopher Daniels, who's no longer with the company. Then at Supercard of Honor, Eddie fought Roddy in a rematch. Then at Best in the World, Davey fought Eddie to win the title. Then at the TV tapings, Davey fought Roddy again in another rematch to do the title defense. And then again, Davey's going to fight. Death Before Dishonor, Eddie fought Roddy again in a Ringmaster Challenge for Eddie to get a number one contenders match. And then for the final battle, Eddie is going to fight Davey again. This is fucking repetitive. I'm sorry, this is just as bad as 2009. Triple H fights Orton, and then Orton fights Cena and Triple H. Then Cena fights Orton, then Orton fights Cena, then Cena fights Orton, then Orton fights Cena. It's the same thing, and that's not good enough in my opinion. The excuse that, the roster is... I don't care. They could have built guys throughout this whole year. Yes, you built Eddie Edwards, but when Eddie Edwards is part of the three-way problem, it's not really something to be fixed. They had Davey Generico at Glory by Honor, but like Honor Hammer said himself, no one expected Generico to win. That was just like, hey, you guys want a different main event? Here you go. That's not a good enough excuse in my opinion. And the main event team's been very style. The TV deal isn't an excuse because even before they got the TV deal, the problem was still the same. Really, like I remember when they announced the Eddie Roddy rematch for Supercard of Honor, I was like, did you really have to do that? I just thought that was so stupid. So this main event angle, I have no desire to see it. I'm more interested than I was a week ago because I saw the Go Home show. The Go Home show I thought was good. Didn't think it was great. I thought the stuff they did for Eddie Davey was okay. It made me a little more interested. But like I said, I went from a 0 level of interest to like a 3 level of interest out of 10, I would say. But... still, I'm a little more interested, but really, in the end, it doesn't matter. In the end, Eddie can pin Davey in the middle of the ring, and it won't mean a goddamn thing. And that's Ring of Honor's fault. Sorry. And World's Greatest Tag Team, everyone's been griping about them. I have nothing more to add to the argument. Although I will say this, I don't think they should necessarily lose to the Briscoes, because if we want All Night Express to win, and I do, if we want All Night Express to win the titles, in my opinion, the World's Greatest Tag Team would have to beat the Briscoes, and then I think they would drop it to the All Night Express at WrestleMania weekend. Because if the Briscoes win, you know how Ring of Honor is, and this is a good thing, long title reigns. I don't see the Briscoes dropping the titles in 3 months. I see them holding it for like 7 to 8 months. and then dropping it to maybe ANX, then maybe the Bucks, maybe Cole and O'Reilly. Not a guarantee. Whereas World's Greatest Tag Team, if they win, I can't see them losing to anybody besides ANX. I cannot see them losing to the Bucks. I cannot see them losing to World's Greatest to Cole and O'Reilly. So that's my thing on that. And so we'll see how Final Battle is going to do. I've not been happy with the company this year. I do think the company was worse than WWE. I remember LV said he was quote unquote shocked to see it. I wasn't. I mean, WWE, they've been more productive in 2011. Their main event scene is not as ridiculously stale as Ring of Honor's is. I mean, at least in WWE, just on Raw alone, yeah, it's Cena, Punk, Del Rio, Miz. We had Truth in there for a little bit. And on SmackDown, we have Henry, we have Big Show, we have Daniel Bryan. They're trying to put we have Randy Orton. They're trying to put Wade Barrett and Cody in there. Like, it's been a little more spread out than Ring of Honor. Eddie, Roddy, Davey. Even on SmackDown alone, it's better than Eddie, Roddy, Davey. That's a problem. And I do believe WWE has gotten over more guys in 2011 than Ring of Honor did. They got over CM Punk to a far bigger level than he ever was. He's probably arguably higher than Orton now in the company, just because Orton's been doing a lot of jobs in mid-card feuds against Cody Rhodes and Wade Barrett. They got over Mark Henry big time. They're getting over Danielson a little bit. They got Miz much higher than what he was in 2010, in my opinion. In my opinion, Miz is the type of guy right now where a new champion comes on Raw and he has a stale title defense against the generic heel. Miz would be, I'm not saying these are positive things, but like in the main event scene, you can put Miz. Miz is arguably in the main event scene. You know, he just main evented a pay-per-view. He seems like the type of guy that can do a feud with a top guy on Raw and it not being ridiculously embarrassing. Like, he's been in the main event mix, so to speak. So is Alberto Del Rio. He's fought for the title from Night of Champions to the TLC. Yes, he's higher than he was last year. Sorry. He's still not necessarily a success, but still higher. They elevated Zack Ryder. Now, of course, people are going to say they didn't do that. Zack Ryder did that himself. It's WWE still to take the initiative to push the guy, okay? He's at a much higher place than he was last year. Dolph Ziggler, little by little, is rising up from straight up mid-card to the upper mid-card scene. I already talked about Cody Rhodes. They've been much more productive than Ring of Honor has. Ring of Honor, they got Eddie Edwards over at the start of the year. But he was, like I said in the past, he was already like a very upper mid-carder. He just needed like that little tap to push him over the edge. Because he already had a main event at the show against Tyler Black a little bit ago. He had already beaten Davey in a match. Like, he wasn't like a Dolph Ziggler was last year, for example. So, yeah, and people say, oh, but the pay-per-views. I've said this for a long time. WWE has put on several pay-per-views this year that were just as good, if not better, than Ring of Honor pay-per-views. And yes, have they had some that were worse? Yes, but it's not fair because Ring of Honor only had 6 pay-per-views and WWE has had 13. It's like how Truthslayer says, it's kind of unfair to compare Ring of Honor to PWG when PWG puts on far fewer shows. Well, when Ring of Honor puts on far fewer pay-per-views, you can't compare the quality straight up. That's not fair. But WWE can and has put on better shows than Ring of Honor has. And they have, without question. Money in the Bank was better than every Ring of Honor show this year. Elimination Chamber, I thought, was better than every pay-per-view this year from Ring of Honor, except for the first WrestleMania weekend show, and maybe Death Before Dishonor, but that's a maybe because I haven't seen it on DVD yet. I have it right there, but I haven't seen it on DVD yet, so I won't say it. So right now I'll say only the first WrestleMania weekend show, but I did think Elimination Chamber was better than the 7th anniversary show, the 9th anniversary show. I did think it was better than Best in the World, and I did think it was better than the second WrestleMania weekend show. So, and Extreme Rules I thought was a great show as well. And SummerSlam, wow, I forgot SummerSlam. I just remember posting a comment on someone else's video and I forgot to mention SummerSlam. SummerSlam was also better than a good portion of the Ring of Honor shows this year. And, so yeah, let's get into Final Battle, finally. You guys don't want to hear me talk. Final Battle preview. With all the crap I've given Ring of Honor, I still am looking forward to this show. I'm really looking forward to the Kevin Steen, Steve Corino stuff. That to me has been the feud of the year. For my Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, I'm going to submit as my #1 feud of the year, Kevin Steen versus Ring of Honor. Because that's been built very, very well, to a T. And like I said in videos past, I feel like I've been worked. Like, I remember at the start of the year seeing, like, man, Ring of Honor are such assholes. Man, they released Kevin Steen. This sucks. But the more I think about it, it was pretty much an angle from the start. I really feel like a moron for buying into it. I feel like I was worked. In a good way. Not like in TNA where I feel like, man, they screwed me over. In Ring of Honor, I feel like they made me feel like a fan again. They made me feel like a wrestling fan again. I felt like I was worked, and that's good. Because no feud can do that anymore. Even the CM Punk storyline, I was like, he's not leaving. He says he's going to leave, but he's not going to leave. Like, even if he thinks he's going to leave, he's not going to leave. I knew that the whole time. I was like, he's going to get super popular. He's going to stay. Come on. He's not leaving. But for the Kevin Steen Ring of Honor stuff, the whole time I was convinced as a fan that this was, like, up until Best in the World. That's when I was kind of like, ugh. But before that, I was like, man, they were real dicks to Kevin Steen. And so I'm really looking forward to the Kevin Steen, Steve Corino stuff. Kevin Steen, by the way, this is another excuse I've heard. I've heard Honor Hammer and Truth Slayer both say this. Don't judge Ring of Honor 2011 until you see Final Battle. Why? People have said they hate the build of Eddie Davey and the world's greatest tag team. What does it matter how Final Battle does? That doesn't change the fact that they have to sit through a shitty build that they didn't like. Doesn't matter how it pays off. Doesn't matter. They didn't like the storyline. They didn't. No one liked the Eddie Davey Roddy main event scene. Almost every Ring of Honor fan seems to not like the world's greatest tag team as tag team champions. No one liked it. So you can't use that as an excuse as to, oh, well, Final Battle will take care. No. And some have said, oh, but the seeds of Kevin Steen have been planted in 2012. What the fuck does that have to do with 2011? Yes, the Kevin Steen stuff was great in 2011, and while I just called that the feud of the year, at the same time, it wasn't very prevalent. It was at Best in the World, it was at Death Before Dishonor, and it was at Glory by Honor. It was almost never, ever even brought up at any of the other shows, except I think Survival of the Fittest. They might have brought it up a little bit because of the El Generico Kevin Steen match. And then on the TV show, they had the big segment with Steve Corino and Jim Cornette, and they had the vignettes with the lawyers. But that was really it. They didn't really that wasn't like a huge feature of 2011. So I can't count that as a positive. I mean, I can't count that as a reason to forgive 2011. So definitely looking forward to Kevin Steen, Steve Corino. And I really think Kevin Steen, his dominance in 2012, he should be the next Ring of Honor World Champion. He really should. And I'm really excited for this match. Really, really excited to see how this plays out. I know Dave Meltzer said, I think Dave Meltzer hinted at that Steve Corino should probably turn heel. I disagree. I know it's one of those things that he's a heel at heart and he should always be a heel and he should never be a face and he's about to retire from wrestling and shit like that. But in my opinion, see, this is different. The Kevin Steen stuff, Steve Corino, they have been building up the whole year, like since the first show, every house show. He has a match with an up-and-comer and he loses. And he tries to convince people that he's finally good. And finally, at Glory by Honor, Davey Richards, the world champion, the face of the company, said, yes, Steve Corino, we believe you, you're good. After a year of that, for Steve Corino to just turn heel anyways, I think would just be a slap in the face. It's not like when Kevin Steen did it at Best in the World. That bill was only for like 2 weeks. Like, that was different. It's not like a slap in the face, him trying to convince everyone he's good. Steve Corino's a whole fucking year. For him to turn heel, to me, that would just be like, I feel like I wasted my time. But yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to the Bennett Lethal Generico match because they've built that really well on TV, in my opinion. It looks like Mike Bennett's going to win the title. Kevin Kelly, on a recent interview with Brian Alvarez, even said, like, he was running through the card and he was, like, making his predictions, and he actually predicted Mike Bennett to win this match, which I thought was hilarious. Like, he was being he was trying to be totally kayfabe, but he actually predicted Mike Bennett to win this match, which I thought that was funny. I'm 95 to 100. Plus, Bennett said at the beginning of the year that by the end of 2011, he would be Ring of Honor champion. I'm pretty to very sure that he's winning this match, which isn't a bad thing. I don't hate the guy. I know a lot of people do. I don't. I'm fine with him. The tag team Gauntlet, looking forward to that. Although I'm not a big fan of Gauntlet matches, to be honest. But we'll see. Maybe, I'm pretty sure this one will go above expectations. As far as who's going to win, either the All Night Express or the Future Shock, in my opinion. See, everyone's saying, oh, it's obvious, All Night Express Bucks. I don't think so. I think All Night Express, either the Briscoes or someone could come out to get them eliminated. And it comes down to Bucks and Future Shock. And Future Shock wins and finally pins the Bucks in New York because their first match in New York at Best in the World went to a disqualification. Then they're in the triple threat elimination match at Death Before Dishonor. The Bucks won. Then the Bucks beat them on TV. I think this Future Shock finally wins in New York. I think that would be the great ending to the storyline. Plus, All Night Express already have a tag title shot against the Briscoes. They won it on TV. So actually, the more I think about it, it makes more sense, in my opinion, for Future Shock to win this. Jimmy Ray versus Tommaso Ciampa. Really looking forward to this. Love Jimmy Ray in the Ring of Honor. I'm really glad to see him back. I remember in 2009, this might have been his last Ring of Honor match. I'm not sure. When he fought the Necro Butcher in Chicago in in a chain match. I fucking loved, and a dog collar match. I loved that match. I thought that match was awesome. That was my favorite match on that show. And that show had the first ever American Wolves Briscoes match, and that show also had Bryan Danielson versus Austin Aries. The Necro Butcher match was my favorite match on that show. I love that match. And so really looking forward to seeing him back in Ring of Honor. He deserves to be back in Ring of Honor. This storyline makes perfect sense. Tommaso Ciampa is part of the Embassy. Jimmy Rave used to be the crown jewel of the Embassy. Bam! I'm looking forward to this. What else? Michael Elgin, TJ Perkins. Really looking forward to this match. I think it's going to be very entertaining. And I think both these guys, if given enough time, can really put on a show. The Roderick Strong Invitational Challenge. This is interesting. I've had debates with many people. We've been trying to figure out who's it's going to be. I've heard people suggest Homicide. I've heard people suggest Xavier. That was more of a joke. Someone said Finley. Someone said Loki. Obviously, there's the rumors that it's going to be Nigel. In my opinion, it's not going to be Nigel. I think if it was Nigel, they would have announced it on TV. I really don't think that would have been a surprise because it makes no sense for the new fans that this announcer out of nowhere accepts Roddy's challenge. I really think if it was Nigel, they would have said it on TV. That's just my opinion. And I've heard people say Chris Hero, now that he's probably not going to go to the WWE because of high levels of testosterone, allegedly. But to me, in my opinion, this was important enough that they didn't announce it, which means they had makes me think that this is a surprise, but not big enough of a name that the casual fans who are watching the show would know, more like someone that us internet fans would know. So that's why if it is someone like that, I don't think they will just throw him away to debut Chris Hero because they didn't know Chris Hero was going to be available when they announced this match months ago. So I don't think it's going to be Hero unless bringing Hero back is more important than this guy making his debut, whoever it is. So maybe I can understand that perspective to just bring Hero back. Or it could be someone like Grizzly Redwood. And then we'd all go, a little part inside of me is making me afraid to think that they're actually going to have like Andy Ridge. And I like Andy Ridge or Grizzly Redwood accept. What they should do is have Grizzly Redwood accept, Roderick Strong beats the shit out of him, and then Chris Hero comes out and they have an impromptu match. That would probably be the best thing in my opinion. If they're not going to debut a new guy. If they are going to debut a new guy, hey, guesses abound. No one knows, and that's probably a good thing. So I am looking forward to that match. So far, I've been looking forward to every match in this card as much as we've been crapping on the company. But the reason why the company is the way it is, the last two matches in the show, I'm not looking forward to either of them. Like I said before, I'm looking forward to the result of the World's Greatest Tag Team match, but not really to the match itself. Like, I care who wins because who wins makes a big deal in signifying whether or not the All Night Express will be champion soon. But really, I don't care to see the actual match. I was not looking forward to their match back at the anniversary show, and that match I thought was just good. I was not looking forward to their match at the ROH Revolution Chicago, and that match was very disappointing, and I'm not looking forward to this match either. As good as the Briscoes are, I'm just not looking forward to this match, I'm sorry. And the main event, really not looking forward to that match. Really could care less who wins. Because I've also, maybe because I was live at Best in the World, I've already seen this match. What are they going to do differently? What, Eddie Edwards is going to do more submission-style moves, more MMA thrown in there? Bro, maybe, but that's not enough to get me to really care about the match. The match to me is still, it's like here's a great Eddie Roddy from Supercard of Honor. Not their Death Before Dishonor match, because that match was different. But the Supercard of Honor match, when that match was announced, I was like, they're gonna have the exact same fucking match that they had at Manhattan Mayhem. And while they like structured the match differently, I didn't care at all during that match. I was just like, yay, yeah. Cool spot. I think I gave it 4. It's a great match. I gave it 4 stars. A lot of people give it like 4.5, 4 3/4. But I couldn't care. They already did a great match at Manhattan Mayhem. Why would I care to see it again? They didn't give me a reason to see it again. They didn't give me a good enough storyline to see it again. Same with this. There is a way, like Cena versus Punk at SummerSlam. I cared about that storyline, so I cared to see the match again. But this match, I don't care to see it again. They didn't give me a good enough storyline to make me want to see it again. So throughout the match, I'm probably just going to go, cool spot, 4 stars, 3 3/4. That's what I probably see coming out of this. And like I said, I really could give a shit who wins. Hopefully Kevin Steen, my ideal would be Davey Richards wins, and then Kevin Steen afterwards comes and beats the shit out of him, but I know they wouldn't do that. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the undercard, but I'm not looking forward at all to the double main event, and that's probably why my attitude towards Ring of Honor is the way it is. But I'm definitely, overall, I would still say I'm looking forward to the show. I've already ordered it Friday, December 23rd at 7. Is it 7 or 7:30? Let me check. It actually doesn't say. Jesus, it actually does not say. What am I supposed to do? It's on Go Fight Live. Assume 7. I believe it's 7 or 7:30. 7:30 is usually 7:30. 7:30 is usually the time for these shows anyway. So 7:30, December 23rd. Final Battle 2011, Richards versus Edwards 3. I still would recommend ordering it, especially if you've never ordered a Ring of Honor show before. I would definitely recommend ordering it, because then unfortunately, I saw the Eddie Davey match. If you've never seen the Eddie Davey matches, this match is going to be fucking awesome, and you're going to really like it. So, yeah, if you've never seen this match before, you should definitely order it, because it's going to be incredible. I, unfortunately, have seen it before, and I'm not looking forward to it. But if you've never have, check this out. Go Fight Live, December 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Check it out. That's me showing Ring of Honor some love, me showing Sanders Robbins some love, and me giving my thoughts on Ring of Honor, pretty much. All right, that's enough Ring of Honor talk for the week. I'll be back for my Final Battle review Friday. The interview show, thank God I remembered. I'm filming the interview show with AG Vito for life tomorrow. And this guy, he's been training in pro wrestling since I believe he was 13. And all across the East Coast Indies. He's refereed for Chikara before. If you have any questions about the indie scene in general, please ask them. Ask as many questions. I want as many questions as I can get. Just ask questions generally about his thoughts on the indie scene and how he thinks about it and blah, blah, blah. And ask him about how he got into the wrestling business, what got him to get in at such a young age. Any questions would be greatly appreciated. As far as next week's guest, I have a guest in mind. I have not told him yet, but I'm going to tell him soon, and I'll tell you guys after I do the interview. All right? I'm Big Red 310. I'm out, guys. Goodbye.